All right, another riveting episode of the Kill Cliff podcast with your boys from Entreprenerds Comedy. Josh, who do we have on today?
We got the actual founders of Kill Cliff, the guys who gave us this platform, let us get on here and talk our gibberish. So we got to sit down with the actual founder is
Todd Ehrlich.
Thank you, and GW Garrison.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting stuff. They told us how this whole thing came to be and how they kind of just put it out there, put a product out there to see what it would do, and kind of stuck with it and see what would happen.
Yeah, it's a pretty inspiring story of like tenacity and perseverance in the entrepreneurship realm. You know, just trying to get your product off the ground, and they really have a very cool story. Todd was the founder. Brought on GW very early, and the two of them kind of became that dynamic duo, trying to get Kill Cliff off the ground, and it's turned into a household name in the sports energy drink market.
Yeah,
and it's turned into something that's given us the platform to be able to get out there and entertain and make people laugh.
During the interview, not only did we talk about how they've gotten to where they are and all the great things that have happened, but we also talked about their failures and some of the stuff, the shit that's gone wrong, because I think that's just as important, if not more important, than making it.
Oh, show.
All right,
let's do it. Let's get this thing going.
I love the name of your podcast.
Let the boy watch.
It was like every 80s rock video.
Crafting with strawberry milk.
Good luck to me.
If I said that without making eye contact, it would have been way better.
This is our intern, Tyler.
So no one listening yet anyways. This guy sucks. The juice is flowing.
Maybe just whack him across the face with a corn cob.
It's going to go great. Thank you. All right, man, we are live here. Well, not really. You'll be hearing this later, but thanks, guys, from the Kill Cliff for letting us take over your, what was this building? What was this room? Before the casting couch, what was it?
Yeah. It's always been the casting couch. No, it was an office, and now it's turned into a lounge, turned into a studio.
Yeah, we're at the Kill Cliff headquarters down here in Atlanta. If you haven't been by here, this is a swanky, cool place to host a podcast.
Yeah.
Todd and GW, who's dressed like Cool Mo D today.
Yes,
nice.
That's right.
80s, early 90s throwback. Can you name a Cool Mo D song?
Come back to me on that one. I know I can.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I know. That's a trick question. There's going to be a series of them throughout this podcast.
My 90s hip-hop trivia.
Anyway, so if anybody's listened to the podcast, if you've listened to the original Kill Cliff podcast, you've heard GW and Todd both be interviewed. A lot of biographical information talking about your backgrounds and how you guys came together. Todd, you founded the company, and then GW, you were the first employee, so you guys grew it together from nothing to essentially to a point where then the guys that came in today took it and ran with it from there, and you guys have maintained a relationship with it. What we try and do on this podcast is get into the untold stories, the levity, the hilarious stuff that never gets told. The stories when you guys were like trying to scrape, you're living on credit cards or something, or you just, you're wondering how you're going to make the next payment, and what kind of insanity you guys pulled, or what kind of marketing tricks you guys did that were a total flop, that kind of shit. So,
well, we got a ton of that. That's basically the Kill Cliff story in a nutshell.
So, Todd, I heard on one of the original ones, or maybe even read it online, that you started this as a sort of experiment. The Kill Cliff itself, you started it as an experiment, just trying to put like ginger and like some organic ingredients together for.
Yeah, I mean, originally the idea was to create a beverage that I liked, kind of with the concept of like, hey, I wasn't a fan of sports drinks, and I wasn't a fan of energy drinks, and my thought process was, what if I could create a drink that team guys liked? And so I was like, what would they want? Would they not want? And the concept to me was, if I could create like an anti-inflammatory drink, that'd be really cool. So I started loading stuff with ginger and trying things like that, and coming up with little ideas in my head about like what enzymes do and things like that. So we started loading all these things in the drink, and that kind of got it going. And it was just kind of one of those things. I started sending it to a company that helps you create beverages, and that's a whole other story that I could get into. It's kind of interesting, but basically they kept sending it back, and I'd be like, okay, that tastes like crap. Take that, flavor out or that ingredient out, and they would do that and eventually came up with the drink. But the concept was, hey, this is kind of cool. It'd be kind of cool if it was like, because I always kind of thought like, hey, maybe I'll go back in the teams or something like that, you know, like as you do, you know. And I was like, well, it'd be cool if I had a drink I actually wanted to drink and I could still shoot with and not be all hyped up and
Jittery.
Yeah, jittery. Yeah, I don't like too much caffeine. It kind of
So for a drink a drink that was designed for SEALs, like one that would like also double as like a hair gel, you know, or something. Maybe the can had a mirror in it so you could look at how you looked, you know, before you went on an.
I was gonna say like you have kind of interesting hair for a team guy.
You know what? I don't even want to interview this guy anymore. You know what? I thought we were unified as Trident wearers, but
He doesn't have a seal hair.
No,
it's every once in a while.
That's why you didn't come back into teams. You weren't welcome. You were just
there's
you're
one
a
in
hater.
every class.
No flow. No flow.
But you mentioned like you adding like
Can I
gins.
swear on this?
Oh well, yeah, it's Kill Cliff podcast.
Yeah,
You founded this.
No,
thing.
everything tasted like shit. Got taken out.
Yeah, right. There's no one listening yet anyway. So
We have 0 listeners yet. So.
But you mentioned like enzymes. You mentioned about how the fuck did you know about any of this stuff?
So, very few people know this, but I'm like a big fucking nerd.
Okay.
So I read a lot. Like
Yeah, we can tell by looking.
Not a
ridiculous.
surprise.
We can see you.
A lot of reading happens, and in that reading,
You are wearing a pink shirt. It's
skin
that was
tone.
what the
This
FBI
is-
calls a
it's
clue.
Rosé.
It's kind of a salmon color. I like to call it salmon. So
Rosé.
anyway, I was reading a lot, and I was reading about enzymes, and I came up with this theory that when you work out a lot, your body is producing a certain amount of enzymes that kind of break things down and take garbage out of your system and everything else. And like however you're overexerting yourself, that you run low on those enzymes. So my concept was if you threw some extra of those helpful starter enzymes in to kind of get the ball rolling, you could recover a little bit more quickly. I still believe that. It's true. True facts.
Backed by
It's backed by science.
Deep thoughts. Deep thoughts.
Yeah, but so when you created this, was that just the goal? Was something for the teams? Did you see this becoming what it is now, or what's going to be happening in the future with it?
I over the years, I've kind of felt like if I like something that usually other people like it too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, if I could create a drink that I personally liked and I could see my friends drinking, then maybe it would have a broader, audience. And so when the samples started coming in, I started inviting folks over to my house, and I started being like, hey, try this out, and they would drink it. They're like, this is really good. Let's put vodka in it. And then we started getting wasted. And I was like, hey, this is great. And then we'd wake up and like have no hangovers. And I was like,
Yahtzee.
This is it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. All right, man. So
I want to I want to bring GW into the conversation. So you kind of start the early stages of this company, and then did you guys? Were you guys on Grindr together? How did you?
We met on Grindr.
Here's what happened. This is actually kind of
to his
cool
garage.
Story. Yeah, my wife was friends with his girlfriend at the time, and so we'd hang out, and they were like best. They were best friends, and so we would hang out a lot. And I was like, yeah, I started this drink. And we kind of worked in sister companies, so we kind of all knew each other. Yeah. And I'm like, I started this drink, and I got like 8,000 cases in a warehouse. And this other guy that we're friends with, not really anymore, but at the time was trying to help me. And I like use that term really loosely because he was just trying to get his friends to invest money and take the company from me, which has kind of been an ongoing story where people. It's like my precious or something. Like everybody wants a piece of this thing. And so anyway, these guys were trying to do like steal the ring, and I was like, hey, it's not happening. And so the dude got all pissed off and was like, well, I'm fucking out of here. And I was like, cool. And then Deuce walked in. I was like, Deuce is GW. Also, his full real name is Gwinner. Just so you know that. It means the winner in German.
That is my real name.
Does it actually mean the winner?
It's actually translated directly as the word winner in German.
Very nice.
Yeah.
David Hasselhoff would know that then.
Yeah.
Huge in Germany.
Big in
Hasselhoff,
Germany.
Yeah.
So you guys get that going. You said you had how many cases of that just sitting?
8,000.
8,000 cases, and you ordered that without anyone to buy it at that point.
Fact.
Yeah.
Fact. 8,000
Sometimes
cases.
you just got to make bold moves.
I like
You know
it.
what I mean?
Well, yeah, we had a storage unit with 8,000 cases of the original tasty flavor, which is the blood orange now.
Yes.
And
It was delicious.
No real plan other than to
A great looking can.
We had a great looking can. We had a couple T-shirts, and we had big weird grins on our face, and we just went out every day and hustled it up and down the street, basically, out of the trunks of our cars.
Really? That's from the trunks of your car.
Like no shit.
My car didn't even have a trunk.
No shit. We had a landing place was Todd's garage for the first, I'd say, 8 months, and so we were in and out of his garage. His wife was very thankful that
They would use my bathroom in the kitchen.
we would use his bathroom in the kitchen.
Yeah,
So it got to
it was
be a
really
little much,
awkward.
right? So we eventually saved up, the money to get a storage unit and started working out of a storage unit, and literally went up and down the streets of Atlanta, and we hit gyms and we hit bars, and we hit them constantly until they finally just said, "All right,
Relented.
get out
I'll
of my-
buy from you if you just go away.
I'll buy from you if you just go away." Yeah, basically. And so we just kind of started making noise that way. And when people figured out they could kill their hangover with it, it kind of crushed in the bar scene, and it made an amazing mixer. And then the gym thing just sort of picked up slowly until we hit the CrossFit wave.
And once that went, it exploded. Because, excuse me, as far as Killcliff goes, anytime I mention Killcliff to a CrossFitter, it's like they light up. They know all about it. Yeah. They're huge into it. How did that come to be? Like, why is that the CrossFit? Why did they latch onto it the way that they did? Like, why not any other?
We were there at the beginning,
Gotcha.
so it was kind of right place, right time, and we did it from the ground up, not the top down. So we were we had a presence at all these little throwdowns that they were throwing, these little competitions in parking lots and gyms and wherever they could get
it was also
some exercisers together.
We're just really authentic though,
Yeah.
right? So like the whole CrossFit theme at the time was everything is bullshit. Everything, like let's find new things that, we haven't found before. So it kind of fit perfectly in that mindset where it's clearly not a corporate brand, right? Right.
And they were still growing. They weren't what they were at the time.
Yeah.
They had just kind of, blossomed everywhere, and we just, hitched our wagon, and then the community just grew. And as that community grew, our fan base grew too.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm drinking one of the CBDs, and what's interesting to me is you guys have that market that you have has been the CrossFit. Obviously, there's
Big
the
in the
military.
military, yeah.
Because
Are you allowed to do that?
what's that,
Drink that?
dude? I appreciate if maybe you didn't mention anything about the legality of me drinking this right now, because according to this candid, there is zero THC in this thing. So
Yeah, give or take.
Remind me to tell you a story about my buddy in Amsterdam who went to try to go work for the CIA.
After a long
I was like,
binge
dude, I
of-
don't think it works like that.
Yeah.
I don't think you could just smoke weed in Amsterdam because it's legal and then
go
apply for the CIA.
What? No, 'cause all right.
team guys being team guys.
I've been to Thailand too, and I'm pretty sure there's some things legal there that they
Yeah.
frown upon when you
Yeah.
try to get a government job.
Yeah, well, they don't ask about ladyboys. So that's
So
That's encouraged.
So this doesn't go right along with the military.
I think it does.
I think it does too, but as far as the market goes, that's another bold move. I don't know if it's as bold as having a warehouse full of shit that with no.
It's
with,
pretty damn
bootstrapping.
bold. It's pretty damn
yeah,
bold.
bootstrapping 8,000 cases of Killcliff is it's pretty bold.
It's what the original Killcliff team would have done. So that's
100%.
That's the right
Yeah.
move. Yeah.
100%.
So it's the two of you guys, and you're just working out of your garage and your kitchen bathroom.
Yeah.
And at what point are you guys like, all right, we're onto something, and did you sell all 8,000 cases, and then you're like, let's order more, or did you
It
guys?
took us a few months, right? I think we took
better part of the year to get through it. But
I
it
want to say it was
started
like 8 months. Yeah.
picking up steam, and we picked up a couple team members along the way. So it wasn't just us. We picked up another guy, 2-3 months in, and then another guy came on board a couple months after that, and then we had a woman that came into the mix, and she was a female. She was the first female addition to the group, and she was amazing. And we just kind of started snowballing downhill, picking up steam, picking up accounts, and picking up characters in the cast here.
Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. We love to hear like how it succeeds, but more we want to hear where things went terribly wrong. Like, is there one point where things were just like, oh, we're fucking done?
I mean, I made a lot of bad decisions, right? I mean, I think as in every business, kind
that
of.
rosé shirt is definitely one of them, but I mean that's
Todd flavor.
Sorry about making fun of your hair. So
clearly I'm still seething over that.
I part of my theory was you got to try everything and throw a lot of things at the wall. So I did some terrible deals. I figured out some things I was really good at, some things I was bad at. Like one of our first guys, the first guy after GW is a guy named Michael, and he introduced me to this pro golfer, and I signed this guy up for his contract, and I told him what I did, and they were like, "You did what, you idiot?" I was like, "Well, I thought you guys wanted me to do this," and then it still took me like another year or two to figure out that GW was a much better negotiator than I was, and then I just needed to be like, "Hey, I like this person. Figure out what to do."
Right.
And I would turn it over to him, and then we wouldn't like lose money on dumb shit anymore. Once in a while we would, but
You figure out everyone's full of shit real quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
everybody's selling you on like, I am going to change your life,
Right.
and they're all full of crap, and I'm just gullible enough to believe it because I'm super optimistic.
Yeah.
Did you guys run into like a bunch of like the like quasi celebrities at the early stage where they were like, "Oh, I can totally promote your brand"?
A few. I mean, one of my favorite guys ever in the very beginning. What was that guy's name? The funny MMA dude, Amir.
With an S.
Yes,
he was on the
Sadula.
UFC. Sadala.
Sadala.
He was
I
on
love
the.
that guy.
He was on the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter show.
I was just like, I was a big fan of his. He was super funny. And it was just a cool guy to have associated with the brand. But that was before CrossFit. So that was like very early on. We really didn't waste any money on him. He was just awesome. But he really didn't have a big following. And MMA was kind of not the right fit for us either.
Yeah.
But like some cool dudes like that we came across.
They made some funny videos for
And then
us.
like we had like, this is awesome. We would have these guys who would like find us. So they'd see our product out in the market or something like that. And they'd be like, industry experts in beverage, right? And they'd be like, "Hey, we need to sit down and talk." And I like buy all the shit they say, like hook, line, and sinker. And it would be like, I worked at giant beverage company right down the street from here for 30 years straight, and let me tell you how this works. And I'd be like, "Oh, tell me more," and I'd we'd start paying them, right? Like it was like so ridiculous. Like so I'd believe them. And we'd like kind of move forward and and then it would be like, this guy doesn't know shit. Like, did he even work there? Like, we have to start doing like background checks on people. Like we like hit that point where we couldn't just trust people anymore, and we were attracting total fucking losers. And like, I'll never forget, like they called me up. They're like, "Todd, this asshole you hired, he's at this golf tournament with us where we're like trying to sling products like spiking his drinks with Vicodin and stuff." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like,
Every big lever we tried to pull by pulling one of these guys that had been in the biz for a long time at a giant court, they just all sucked. And then
Sucked ass.
we had to we realized the magic lever was us, and like
Yeah.
we tried and like, all right, we need some guys with experience, and we're like, oh, these guys suck. They don't really know how to run a small business. They don't get the vibe of what we're trying to do.
Right.
And we
Corporate's
just,
been beat down by the institutions of corporate America.
they move at the speed of corporate America. When we were moving at, they were moving at the speed of smell, and we were like moving at the speed of, we are almost out of money. Right? So
Necessity.
Desperation's an interesting motivator.
very good in motivator. Yeah. So
At what year is this where you guys figure out that, hey, man, we just got to do this on our own? Like tapping these outside resources is not doing it for us.
I think we continued to do that. I kept trying to figure out a way to get us help the whole time. I think we had a very good team, but these entrepreneurial teams can get you so far, and then you got to bring on some outside expertise. If I were to do it all over again, I'd be a little bit more protective of who I brought in and how I brought them in. I've got a lot of experience in that now, even from a raising capital perspective, which is a whole Valley of Tears kind of saga discussion as well. But the point is that all these people who say they're experts and stuff like that, they're mostly full of shit. And so you got to take a real small sample, see if it works. And then, if that works, and, kind of repeat, but it's kind of like trust, but verify, all that stuff. And it's just, nobody's going to come in and be a panacea for what you need.
Well, the whole deal is a moving target anyway. So even if they had some success in the past, it doesn't mean they're going to be on target moving forward. It means they just got either lucky in the past, or they were good at that moment in that scenario,
Or they're really great at politics.
right? Yeah,
And lying.
So it's a moving target.
So you brought up raising capital. So at some point you get to the point where you're like, we need more money to help grow this thing bigger. And are you guys going around like doing like the kind of Shark Tank pitches to try and get some investor into?
Yeah, I mean, I was pitching people constantly. We were always like one payroll away from making it and all that stuff. And I'm not taking a paycheck or anything like that, but I'm hypersensitive to. I got a bunch of people on the team. Like, how long did you go without a paycheck?
10 years.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was just a smidge over 10 years.
I've yet to receive one actually. About a year. I worked at no cost, but I kept a ledger. There's a big IOU.
It's coming any day.
It's a
Right.
Samsonite.
Yeah,
But
I held on to
in
it.
Aspen, Colorado.
Expect you to just drink like a bunch of CBD drinks and maybe you'll forget.
Apparently, I've been running a tab that I didn't know about, and it's rather large.
But so I was hyper aware of like, hey, people got to get paid and we got to make payroll and all that stuff. So always was kind of out there pitching people on bringing in, and that was really painful, right? Just kind of, you sit down with people and they like laugh you out of the room. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you'll see, motherfucker. We're gonna be so successful. And so you deal with a bunch of that, and you get a thick skin for it, and you realize like you're gonna talk to some world-class dickheads, and that's just the way it is. And it's okay. It's just another opportunity to practice the pitch, and you just keep going. And I mean, I had so many of those, but eventually once in a while, like it would just click, and somebody would be like, I get it, I understand what you're doing. Okay, I want to introduce you to my partner or my group of partners, and maybe we can cut you a check. And so that would happen from time to time. So it was good.
And I believe I heard somewhere at some point you had an opportunity to pitch to Coca-Cola to possibly take over or to partner with them, right? Or to take over?
No. In the very beginning, when I just had sample product, I pitched.
This is our podcast. Don't tell me no. Just go with this and just
big
make it.
negative.
Yeah, you make us look like we didn't do any research.
You could have just turned down Coke.
No, here's what I would say.
Yeah. It was cocaine. That was it.
It's a really, really it's such a dense story. There's so much in here that it's hard to unpack it all in like an hour, right? So it's just impossible. So and it'd be hard for you to understand the timeline completely. But in the very beginning, pre-GW, pre-everything, I had some sample product, and I was pitching people, and I got in front of the former CEO of Coca-Cola. And he was like, I love it. This is awesome. Coke wouldn't do this until it's really big, so why don't we help you get going? He brought in this other really well-heeled guy, and they wanted to fund it and all this stuff, and that was when I got my first term sheet. And so I was like, hey, yeah, these terms are real neat. Like, I know you probably don't think I'm very smart, but I do read English. And, and this says if I don't hit some astronomical sales number in like 6 months, you own the entire business. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, well, it's just protecting my downside. I was
What
like,
does 0% equity mean for me?
Yeah. I was like, I'm protecting my downside. And I was like, why don't we change a few of these things that we could talk again? And he was like, we're not changing anything. I was like, cool, well, the deal's off, pal. And like, it was just a really weird experience. Real strong-handed negotiation tactical by him. But that was kind of the first go around where I thought I had money raised and didn't.
And at what point do you have your own facility? You guys weren't here, correct? I mean, where were you guys? At what point is this standalone? Hey, we've got employees. We're running things.
Was it just sort of a slow roll, or was
it just continuously kind of changed over time?
It built.
Yeah, we did have this one local investor, as a couple of local businessmen, and they let us borrow some extra office space they have. So we kind of moved in there. We more or less took over. We threw like intern dome.
We started in Todd's basement, basically. Yeah. And it was just like Todd, present, GW, present.
That was roll call every day.
Okay, we're all here. Let's get this party started. And then we moved from Todd's basement to Todd's dining room, I believe, because he had a bigger table, and he moved into a bigger house.
Wow, you guys are like George and Wheezy. Moving up.
And we actually had more people, so we were on the main floor at that point of the house. And then, like he said, we found some shared office space with one of our investors, and that was our first real office. And we could only use it part of the day, part of the time. So
we had these two interns, and we were like, we can't afford both of you, so we're gonna have something called intern dome.
Yes.
Which was like two interns enter, one intern leave. And
Gotta do it.
We were like going to make them camp out. In
Like
the
a
office.
battle of wits or a battle of like physical strength?
Just a
Battle of endurance.
attrition.
Just whatever you could find to weed them out.
Yeah,
No,
so we
they're-
were going to make them stay in the office all week, 24 hours a day, and sleep in the lobby.
First one to leave loses.
Yeah.
I like it. Dude, we've got an intern. This
How
little.
very fraternity hazing of you.
Yeah.
Well, it was a girl and a guy,
Right.
which was amazing. Yeah, they were good sports, but we ended up at the 11th hour, like called it off because it just seemed pretty.
We couldn't get the
fucked up.
live stream to work, so
Sucks. We've got an unpaid intern, so we've got a way around it. This little punk Tyler.
Yeah. He's a piece of shit.
Dude, he's always smoking dope.
Yeah, he's just
Really?
Yeah.
He's
He's fucking worthless.
He's so punchable. Like his face, you just look at him.
Is that like the kind of face you want to kick?
Dude,
Yeah.
you want to do more
Yeah.
than kick.
Yeah.
I promote
I know,
when
that's
this
like-
thing gets big. I always promote. I'm like, if anyone knows Tyler, if you're around Tyler, if you could just punch him in his stupid Tyler face, I appreciate it.
Just anytime I watch like a Chuck Norris 80s roundhouse and it shows like a slow motion kick, I think of Tyler's face.
All right, enough about our intern.
but anyway,
does he need a
So
job?
you guys,
You
you are the longest. Killcliff is the longest standing partner with the Navy SEAL Foundation.
Yeah.
What was the genesis for that?
This is a cool story. So, like from the beginning, I was like, we're gonna talk SEALs on here. Like, there's got to be a giving back component.
Yeah.
So I knew a guy who I think at the time was like the chairman of the Navy SEAL Foundation, Norm Carley.
Yeah.
So I called him and I said, hey, do you mind if we say the words Navy SEAL Foundation on our can? And he's like, oh, it's good press. Like, it couldn't hurt, blah, blah, blah. He's like, cool, thanks. And then never talked to anybody there again. And we just started sending them checks. And so what was happening was team guys, SEALs, were calling up the Navy SEAL Foundation saying, who are these punks like that are saying, and they're like, we don't know. But because I never connected the dots with the foundation, I was just a board member.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't know, but we keep getting checks from these guys. So whatever. Yeah.
They're okay.
Yeah. So they're cool. And then that kind of went on for a few years. And I forget what the connection. Oh, we had been sponsoring the Tampa Bay Frogman swim.
Right.
And that was our big annual check. So like 25 grand type of thing. It was a lot of money to us. Too much money. Way more money than we could afford. But we're like, you know what? This is going to a good cause. And so why not? Right. And it was coming from my investors anyway.
We'll edit that. We'll edit
I
that
hope you
part
listen.
out.
I hope you listen to this. I hope you listen. I gave all your money to the Navy SEAL Foundation. Dummies. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
By the way, Todd doesn't have any other business for which he's looking for funding. So the good thing that was your last business that you ever seek funding for.
it is. So anyway, we ended up, kind of doing that. And I think that the guys who ran the Frogman swim, a really good guy, team guy named Rory, asked us to come down and meet with him and the foundation. And we met with them and they were so cool. They're like, you guys are awesome. You're just supporting the cause and you've never asked for anything. And what do you think about, doing something? And we're like, yeah, cool. That's amazing. And it was a really emotional thing. I had another team guy with me, Chris, who used to be at the company, and we were like floored. And, it's really tough, because you're talking to the people that are on the front line of dealing with the families of team guys and the TBIs and all that stuff. And, and we're like, A, we're having an impact, which is huge. And B, we're not like these other, slipknots out there that are just like asking for free shit and riding on people's coattails. We're like, literally doing it the right way. So it was kind of a cool experience. And another really neat thing about all that, and GW could probably talk to this, is I always felt it was like the glue that held us all together, because this was a raging shit show for a long time. And it was really hard. I mean, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And, we had big time money problems, capital problems, all that stuff, getting it going. And like that mission, that purpose in life to give money to the Navy SEAL Foundation was, really, really worked out, right?
It was a fun, hot mess, and everybody on board kind of knew it, but everyone with that kind of backbone, using the Killcliff company as a vehicle to give back, it had everyone rowing in the same direction at the right time. So this was kind of a small company that everybody was on call 24/7. Nobody really complained about doing anything, late at night or early in the morning, and it was just kind of a really fun time at the Kill Cliff.
Would you agree that without that that unified goal, that Kill Cliff would still be here today?
I think it added a lot. I think we still could manage without the Navy SEAL Foundation, but it did become a big part of what we did.
The DNA, yeah, it was a big part. It was the purpose helps because when you're kind of out of reasons to do something like, hey, I'm not doing this for the money, I'm not doing this for maybe you got upset with the board of directors or the investors that day. Maybe you got upset with a customer or something like that. It always gave you something to lean back on. And the cool thing about that was I was telling someone this story the other day where it was an early CrossFit Games several years ago. And I was sitting there like slinging drinks out of the tent. And it was the first time we had our own official tent.
Well, back it up because the first 2 years we didn't have anything.
Yeah, it was like we were selling crack at the CrossFit Games. People were like, hey, can I get some of that drink?
Unmarked white cooler. But also they scratched enough money to fly banners over the CrossFit Games. It was the first guys that do that with just like ridiculous sayings on there. So
No shit, you guys did that?
Yeah.
They did that. So they couldn't afford a booth, but we're there and flying Kill Cliff banners over the entire event.
But they said because the CrossFit girls had more.
They did a lot of squats.
They did a lot of squats. They had like real
firm,
developed
firm.
Yeah, glutes.
Glutes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so the
Posterior
first one we
chain.
flew was, oh my God, Becky, look at her butt.
It's funny.
Kill
It's funny.
Cliff.
Kill Cliff. Yeah.
It's brilliant, though.
All right.
Tying in the marketing.
We'd time it to when there was an event and everybody was in the stadium, and we'd fly it right over the
Yeah.
stadium. And
But you had no tent. You just had.
Nothing.
You said
No.
they're like.
it was this mysterious, funny thing going on, and that was the guerrilla marketing that we basically came up with. That that was our trademark, basically.
Yeah. So much of that. So one year we had, a tent. This was the first year we had a tent, and I'm sitting there just passing out drinks, and I see these two guys standing kind of at parade rest, 200 yards away. They just didn't fit with everybody else, and they were far away. And all of a sudden they were like 100 yards away. Then they're 50 yards away.
They hadn't even
And
walked.
then they were like, they just kind of moved. And then they were standing right in front of me. And I was like, holy shit. And they were team guys. And they're like, hey, we just want to say, first they introduced themselves. They're like, are you Todd? And I was like, yeah. They're like,
You owe me money, motherfucker.
yeah, they were like,
Maybe.
they're like, we just want to say.
Maybe I'm Todd.
Dumped my sister.
They were like, we just want to say thanks. We were downrange, and you guys sent us a bunch of product because we used to send out care packages. Like it was like the intern sent a lot of care packages, and so we'd send out a lot of those, and they were just like, it really made our day. We're in a bad place, and you guys sent a bunch of stuff. It showed up, and we're stoked that somebody gave a shit about us. So that was kind of cool.
That's cool.
There was another guy who showed up from my SEAL team, who I didn't recognize at first, and he got he's like, Todd? And I was like, yeah, I know this guy.
Hey,
you.
Hey.
No, yeah, I was,
bud.
but people have been coming up all the time,
Yeah.
wanting to talk. And I'm like, yeah. And I just couldn't put him with, hey, this is a dude I was at a SEAL team with over a decade ago. I just wasn't connecting the dots. And I didn't recognize him immediately, and he got pissed off and walked away and never came back. And I was like, dude, wait, I'm sorry. People have been walking, he's like, fuck you. And I'm like, I haven't seen that guy
jeez.
since, man. I was like, ouch.
This guy's putting lipstick on right now. He's staring in the
You were
mirror.
definitely top on his people to kill list.
Yeah.
Laces out.
Finkel is Einhorn.
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely in there. He's in some lab in his basement trying to mix up a better energy drink. I'll show that Todd one day.
He won't forget me again. He was cool too. I'm so bummed about that, but whatever.
All right, so moving on, we've got this is the big new thing, man. I saw this on Rogan, and I was just stoked for you guys because this thing I think is gonna be a rocket ship.
Yeah, this we're talking about the CBD infused latest iteration of the Kill Cliff evolution.
Yeah, it's
GW. You're still leading the marketing, right?
I'm part of the marketing
Part of the
team
marketing,
for sure.
right?
Yeah, I circled back. You know, we weren't at Killcliff for a couple years, and so I came back about a year ago in a consulting role, sales and marketing, and then Todd's, just back.
I'm not really back. I'm
doing
just
Todd
gotta-
things.
You're the dude.
But
you're
always-
you're the dude just on the couch.
We're always putting all natural, beneficial ingredients in these drinks. So when this ingredient
one by one
came on the market, it's just kind of a natural fit for what we were already doing, especially in the recovery line. And we did a first production run. We put limited edition on it, and we're like, all right, let's see how this thing goes. 8,000 cases, and we
That's
sold
how you
out.
started. Why not, right?
That's it. Same flavor, same everything. The tasty, and we just called it Orange Kush, and we added CBD to our recovery formula, and it sold out in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And it backlogged for a couple weeks. We're back in stock now, but it's been a huge win for us for sure.
Yeah, it's for the children.
It's for the kids.
It's for the kids.
Yeah. So it's a natural progression, right? It's an all natural ingredient. It's a functional, beneficial ingredient, and we're including it in our drinks now.
Have you gotten any pushback at all? Is anybody that's still in the stone ages of the benefits of something like CBD, where they're nothing?
Not really. It's been way more positive than negative, I would say. Obviously, there's a lot of cloudiness about the whole industry, and so that's actually beneficial because it keeps the big dogs on the sidelines, and it lets
the innovators get in and
the scrappy, fast-moving guys get in and get moving.
Cool. So now that you guys, you've got that CrossFit, you've got the military, where else do you see some of this stuff going?
We're kind of pushing in
homeless.
Yeah. So we're completely
Always
broke.
hungover.
And,
Yes.
Homeless
No,
people
I
get
meant
hungover.
I meant supplying to the homeless.
Okay.
It's,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
do
just-
that. We do that. Everyone gets thirsty. So we're
It's really gonna make want to work again.
Right. So we're actually pushing into the music industry a little bit. We're looking at other mainstream sports. Ever since we launched that CBD, we've been literally getting hit up left and right by pretty mainstream athletes and entertainers and content creaters. And it's really now just filtering and layering in the right ones. So
I got a buddy who's a pro golfer. I want to put you in touch.
Yeah.
Right.
We've heard you guys are big on pro
guys.
golfers.
Yeah, that was a big
the
mistake.
tour. Well, I'll tell you this: that pro golfer back in the day, he was a Georgia guy. Georgia has UGA has an amazing golf program, and we signed him pretty fairly large deal for what we were at the time, and then he was on fire for like the first 48 hours, the first tournament. We're like, we're geniuses,
Right,
you know what I mean? And then it was just like, it just disappeared the rest of the, he literally was like winning a tournament that next week, and he had never won anything.
Yes.
And we're like, holy shit. this
It's
is
one of
amazing.
those things too, where like what happens with these athletes a lot of times is they'll sign up for the deal and they're going to deliver you X, Y, and Z at each event. They're going to bring product. They're going to promote the product, do all these things, and that lasts like 2 events. And then
90
and then you're
days.
like, hey, well, I don't want to pay you because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. We got this contract, and they're like, no, I need to get paid, and like they complain and cry about it, and you're like, dude, like I'm sorry, like you didn't do what the contract said. So he complained a lot. I think we still paid him.
Well, even the worst guy on tour is making 7 figures,
Okay.
pretty much. So it's hard to feel sorry for the guy.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
look,
yeah.
dude, you're coming in last every week, and you're still making $1 million. So
Playing golf.
playing a game that you're going to play anyway.
Yeah. that costs me a lot of money. Yeah.
Right. Basically, if you weren't doing this for cash, you'd still be doing it.
Still be doing it.
Right.
All right, gents. Hey, thanks very much for
That's
joining
it,
us
that's
today.
it.
What, you got something else?
We thought you were antsy.
Yeah,
We can go
yeah.
all day. We're going
Yeah.
absolutely nowhere.
I
Well,
don't
why?
know.
All right, you know what?
I heard that about you.
Fuck it. We're going to sit here. No, you're going to tell us everything.
We're going to. I thought we were just scratching the
No,
surface
you
here a
said
little
it's going to take, you know what? Fuck it. You're here for 8 hours. The door locked from the outside. You're going to tell us the entire story of Killcliff. Tell me about your mother. What do you believe God is? Are any of your relatives deformed?
Let me tell you about my mother.
So I know in the first podcast the actual name part that had come up and
Yeah.
it was kind of brushed over.
I don't have any deformed relatives.
That's not what the
Yeah.
Wikipedia
It's
says.
not what
Different.
Wikipedia-
False.
That's what he asked.
She's got
We're going to
web
update the
fingers.
Wikipedia.
No, as far as the name, the Killcliff name,
Yeah.
is it something you want to get into? You want to talk
No,
about?
no.
Enough said. Moving on.
Commence awkward silence.
Mysterious. It's definitely mysterious.
We're gonna-
I think that the name story has been out there for a little while. If you kind of look for it, it's there. I would say it's definitely cooler than you think it is, but probably not.
Okay.
Like yeah.
We had this woman who she was a professional hot dog eater.
Fact.
Yeah, so that was one of our sponsored athletes, and she was going to the hot dog eating contest in New York City.
Right.
Which we didn't even know this morning was a profession.
Well, there
until
is a
this morning, I
difference
should say.
between hot dog eaters and hot dog swallowers. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. So I can tell as I'm watching the event that things aren't going well for our little champion, and something weird is happening, and like the numbers are kind of changing and all this stuff, and so apparently maybe she wasn't as pro of a hot dog eater as she made herself out to be. I could be wrong, but anyway, the point is that she got accused of cheating in the event and throwing like hot dogs on the floor.
Bullshit.
Yeah, throwing hot dogs
Just
over her shoulder and stuff.
Weenie tosser.
Yeah,
That's the appropriate term for that.
And you're like,
industry.
you know what? We are an organization of integrity.
Integrity. Yeah.
And even though we signed you as a professional hot dog eater, God, there's so many places I just want to go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go.
But still, you
We had a professional jump roper for a minute.
you denigrated the professional, the
we did.
integrity of our
Yeah.
brand.
She was an amazing jump roper. Like, I mean, she could jump rope like there's no tomorrow.
Double Dutch, or are we talking?
When you're a small company, you're kind of scanning
Anything.
ESPN, the Ocho, and trying to pick
the ticker at the bottom, something that just pops up. You're like,
Yeah.
professional hot dog eater.
Listen, we can afford hot dog eating and jump roping. So let's put our eggs in that basket.
if you could combine those two,
You guys must have gotten
That's a good idea.
like at least 7 followers out of that.
I don't think so. I think we lost followers.
we definitely lost followers. Laser tag.
But we were just
teams.
throwing anything. We threw anything at the wall. I mean, anything. We were just like, hey, let's fucking try it. Like, we'll try it.
Yeah, that was the fun part.
Yeah.
Like a laser cat. We made a 20-foot inflatable laser cat.
Well, yeah, that was right before I left the company.
What is a
Unfortunately,
laser
and me
cat?
too. It's so
there-
we made a shirt and we didn't think anyone would like it. And it was just a cat,
A kitten.
a kitten
I'm kidding.
that had lasers coming from his eyes and like his paws, and it was just kind of like Godzilla thing.
Like, and he was lighting up like Killcliff.
Lighten up
Yeah.
the Killcliff at the bottom. It was.
I have a picture of
silly
me
shirt.
with the shirt on with the Zach Brown band.
It sold out and
amazing.
went crazy, and everybody was wearing this laser cat shirt, and it was just a kind of a funny thing that we.
It's like,
did.
have you seen the cock on the wall? It's a cat hawk.
CAWK.
It's kind of a space cock. Yeah.
I
It's
haven't
a-
seen that.
Yeah, you
half-
should look at it. It's a
like a
really,
hawk
it's a
with a
pretty
cat head.
big cock.
Yeah, it's huge.
But that's on the wall over there, and that was like, we started kind of making funny pictures, just like taking animals and fusing them together,
Like a liger.
Like just
sort
like
of like that.
Hunting
but-
for its
but-
magic. And,
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
strength, or its strength and magic.
but funnier, right?
Yeah, and like with better naming,
Right.
You know?
Just cooler in general.
Yeah, and so we did that, and so we made these T-shirts, and then I was like, we were like, let's start. What we originally started making these big blow up cans. So I was like VP from Coca-Cola lives across the street from me, so I like blow these cans up on my front lawn. They're like 25 feet tall. They say Killcliff. They just like have them inflated on my lawn like giant Santa Clauses. And just, I don't know why. Like, there's no reason, and I don't think he cared. But I was like, he's just gonna see my giant cans. You know, it's
That'll
just-
get him.
Yeah, Coke.
Yeah.
And so, so we had these.
But this
cans.
wasn't across from the company. This was across from his private residence.
Yeah.
Yes.
I live across
Yeah.
the street from the guy.
Yeah, but now, you got him.
Yeah. So he can't move.
Yeah,
neither
you
can I.
can't.
Checkmate, motherfucker. So anyway, like I got these giant cans, and then the giant inflatable cans turned into.
Laser cats.
No. There was an interim move where we had finish lines. We started making finish lines.
Yeah, 'cause
where
giant inflatable cans to laser cats is not. That's not a logical progression. There has to be something in.
So we had like finish lines that had like the kind of the arch, and then in the arch it would have these inflatable arrows pointing, and then it would say like winner or something like that, and and so people would take pictures.
So we would loan it out to races.
Right.
Yeah.
And it would be like the finish line of your race. It's just huge inflatable.
It looked like 2 Kill Cliff cans on the side with these arrows, and you're running through it. And so we made that, and then I was like, GW has a lot of great ideas. There was a couple more people on the team, a lot of great ideas. I had a lot of really crazy ideas, and so one idea I had was a giant inflatable laser cat that we would fill with helium and fly over the CrossFit Games. And that it might or might not accidentally float away into LAX airspace. But
well, we didn't really get approval. We just showed up with it. And CrossFit HQ, when we showed up at the games, we're like, yeah, we're just going to fill it full of helium. We got the tanks right here, and we're going to just tie it to the top of our booth, and it's just going to float, 40 feet in the air. They're like, fuck no, you're not doing that.
Right.
Yeah. That's like, meanwhile, the thing could have probably floated the entire.
Fuck, I'm not. As you cut the grounding lines away and you float away, inflatable cat.
you remember that kid in the balloon?
Yeah,
remember?
the balloon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Joe
what
Dirt.
I had in my head. Like, Newscopter 5 following it, down like from LA to San Diego. Like, there's a laser cat, and it had lights
you
coming out,
CrossFit
like
Games.
real lights coming out of
And
its
it said
eyes.
Kill Cliff huge at the bottom. So we didn't know what to do with this thing. So our idea was like, let's go down about a mile from Hartsfield and fill that thing full of helium and just let it go.
Brilliant.
In the airport airspace. It'll be on national news.
That was not my idea.
That was my idea.
Yeah,
We-
great idea.
We didn't do it. But I'm like, it'll show up on national news instantly, and no one will know what it is. And once they figure out it's a laser cat with Kill Cliff
Publicity
at the
stunt,
bottom,
yeah.
right? Well, it wasn't really doing much for us. It was kind of sitting uninflated.
Just sitting, yeah. What are you going to do with a giant
So I'm like,
uninflated laser cat?
Of course, you let it go in the busiest airport in the
In the
world,
world.
airspace.
The 777 that crashed with 400 people on it would have been
No,
all
no,
over
no,
the
no,
news.
no. It would not occur. I mean, these are
No.
very slow moving kittens.
Yeah.
I feel like the
Harmless.
laser cat came out like before you figured out how to get the THC out of the drink, like the sample products.
Yeah, separate
laser
a lot of
cats.
THC. Brilliant.
It's an extraction process we do at the office here.
Yeah, right.
You guys are like, I got all the THC.
I wish. That's actually just
feels like it's gone.
that was another day at work. Like that was like kind of because I was inspired by Chuck Norris.
Right.
Yeah,
You
who
know,
wasn't?
Yeah, seriously.
Who's not?
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of brought a lot, of ideas into my head. Chuck and we actually had an employee who lived next door to Chuck Norris's son, so I was like, we're gonna get in with Chuck Norris.
This
Like,
is our in.
Yeah, this
Chuck
this,
Jr.?
This is happening.
The company's going to blow up. Here we go.
And they shared like a fence in that what's that TV show where the guy talked over the fence?
Oh, Home Improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, dude, go over there and talk to the guy.
Yeah,
Like,
Chuck Norris
be
is
like,
your fence talking guy.
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, my boss kind of looks like your dad, and
On some weird planet.
joke.
Yeah. Insert joke here.
Action jeans.
Yeah, action jeans.
Yes.
Wow.
I have those on right now.
Yeah.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute, I
just
don't.
because you have a red beard does not make you a doppelganger for Chuck Norris.
Chuck was
Okay,
a ginger,
you-
though, wasn't he?
if you
He
say-
was
if you
ginger.
say
He's a
so.
No, he
ginger,
still
I'm
is.
saying,
Yeah,
Right?
he's probably the baddest
Yeah.
ginger on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the president of Ginger Club.
I don't know.
There's actually Tosh did a piece where ginger, that's actually like a marginalized population.
No,
Gingers.
it's not actually. We're taking over.
I've heard that. They
Well,
live
there's
longer.
a lot-
resurrected. Yeah.
There's a lot more. Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a lot of
There's
gingers
more.
listening to this that are inspired.
Yeah. Well, good. Good.
Lead us, Chuck Norris wannabe.
If you just eliminate all the sunblock, they're done. You can't.
Got him.
No,
That's
no,
their
no,
Achilles
no, no,
heel.
no. We can fully grow and reproduce before the skin cancer gets us.
Really?
That's not gonna
I
happen.
had no idea.
Yeah.
Fully
Dunzo.
reproduce.
Yeah.
Dunzo.
Yeah, we're reproducing faster than anybody else.
Just put lotion in their sunblock and they'll just die off naturally. Yeah.
Yeah, of old age.
So what's next for you guys?
So
Kill
many-
Cliff or otherwise?
So I mean, so the whole Killcliff thing is really interesting because it really is this Navy SEAL Foundation driven thing at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't care who invests or whatever, but that's the goal, is to be the biggest contributor, kind of perennial contributor to the foundation. I think that calculus works, and that this brand can keep growing and really become that. If you know anything about the finances of an organization like that, they'll kind of from time to time have big donors, and they'll kind of build up. Well, as kind of the global war on terrorism has kind of backed off, contributions have slowed down. Certain organizations that would make a big contribution every year have kind of pulled back. And so that was evident that was going to happen a long time ago. So the concept was eventually this will grow big enough where it will just be a sustainable giving platform to the foundation. So that's my goal. Like I have like nothing to do with the company anymore. Like this is like what I do is kind of talk about it and help promote it a little bit and do a little PR. So I love the company. I think it'll do great. It'll be interesting to see where it goes that way. And then for, kind of from a entrepreneur perspective, I've learned a lot about being an entrepreneur over the last 14 years since I kind of entered that line of work, if you will. It is kind of a specialized profession in a way. And so I've learned about kind of how to grow a business, how to, how you want your board to look, how you want all these things to happen, and how to create value. And so I think I've kind of figured that out now. And so I'll take the contribution angle a little bit differently. I'm just going to try to create sustainable kind of, profitable growth companies in the software and CPG spaces that I can, use to promote more funds and actually promote team guys and military guys as managers with kind of that have that kind of, triple bottom line mentality. Because there's still the guys that like control things out there are very like sharp elbowed, right? And the military guys aren't really like that. They're more team players, and they're kind of thinking about the triple bottom line. So for me, it's like, how do I promote, how do I try to have a really positive impact on a bunch of guys who can become great managers and business leaders and put them in a position to run things. And then how do I, raise the capital or take capital to do that? And so I'm kind of figuring that out now. It's going pretty well. In fact, my right-hand partner in another business that I run, he's a former Navy guy too. And, so he kind of, he's also a McKinsey guy and all that stuff. So he's kind of seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of business as well. And so we've kind of come up with this whole plan on how to do this. And then GW and I kind of just probably start a business a week at this point.
So you guys have I want to talk real quick about the beer company and the wine.
Sure.
Right. So you guys started a beer company about a year ago, 2 years ago?
About 2 years ago, year and a half. Launched it at the beginning of last year. Yeah.
You want to tell us a little about it, a little plug for it?
Guten Beer. It's a gluten-free lager, and it's we actually won
Tasty.
It's very tasty. 5.7 ABV. It's the real deal. It's a real beer. It tastes amazing. We didn't tell you it was gluten-free. You wouldn't know. We felt it was like just a little wrinkle in the market that we could fill, and
most gluten-free beers, except for like one or two, taste like shit.
Big time shit. Yeah, they're not good.
Yeah.
And we last second, we launched at the beginning of last year, a couple months into the life of the company, we submitted it to the World Beer Cup, and it won. Believe it or not, it won the gluten-free category, which had about 30 other entries.
Guten Beer, world
beer.
champion beer.
So
yeah,
we're
world champions.
World champs.
We actually made world championship belts to go with
I wear it all the time.
They didn't give us a cool belt.
Yeah.
So
we wanted to put belts on the cans
Right.
too, so we've thought about that.
Of course, we're going to use this and run with it. So officially it's the best gluten-free beer in the world. I think it's the
that is
best
official.
2 years
beer in the world, just in general. But I could be biased.
We're coming out with a light beer soon too, which is exciting.
And
Guten Light.
Patagonia wines.
Vines. Yeah. So that was I was actually down in Chile talking to our Killcliff distributors down there. And they were kind of like, hey, Chile is a little country. Like, we're just not going to be able to sell that much Killcliff. Do you have any ideas on other things we could import or things we could export to the United States? And we were at like their version of the 4th of July, but it's like in September or something like that. And we're drinking wine, which is kind of unusual because we don't really do that here. We like pound beers. And so we were drinking. I was like, why don't you import this wine? And they're like, we thought about that. All the wines are taken. And I was like, dudes, like American guys can't pronounce Spanish words or French words for that matter, which is why California wines have done really well. And, you know, the truth is this is some pretty good wine, and all the Chilean wine in the United States doesn't taste as good. And I don't know why. And it's basically, I still don't know why, but anyway, the point is we found an unbelievable winemaker down there who lived in France and Burgundy and in the Napa Valley making wine for 15 years, and it like kind of settled back in Chile, and he was making like these amazing wines. And we're like, we want wines that Americans are going to drink, but we want to have kind of that cool, you know, South American panache aspect to it, and we want it to be more like, we want to have a different label, just it be its own brand, not like a brand that's like everything else. And so we came up with this red blend, which I think is phenomenally good. Personally, I love it. I could drink like 2 or 3 bottles a night, and then we came up with a rosé, which GW calls brosé.
Fact.
And so it's just really good. It's really good rosé, and the guy's an award-winning rosé maker, so it's a really great product. So the goal is all these kind of California wines are very expensive to make because all these dudes who were like picking the grapes are now picking weed, right? So they got new, better jobs, so they're making more money. So the cost for California wines has gone up a lot, and we're like, let's make a really good wine that people will drink, that dudes will drink too, and that you get a really high quality bottle of wine for $20 that might be a $40 or $50 bottle of California wine. So that's kind of the way we attacked it, and people like it. It's good.
It was like Chilean wine with American branding.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the big problem with Chilean wine. It's a good wine, but nobody knows what it is.
And you guys, you can find that here in the Atlanta area. And
Just
you guys
now,
out?
yeah. It only came out a few weeks ago, so
Right
it's just
on,
in a handful of stores.
Yeah, it's fucking solid.
Yeah.
Before we go, I actually want to just real quick, for anybody who's listening doesn't know, and tie it back in, the Navy SEAL Foundation, and as Todd brought up, is their funding streams have a tendency to come and flow, ebb and flow, because of people's awareness of what's going on, and maybe less team guys dying overseas means that the unfortunately charitable contributions come and go. But they have done amazing things and continue to do amazing things. They've partnered with some other Navy SEAL focused organizations. So if you're looking to support the Navy SEAL Foundation or drink Kill Cliff and by proxy then support the Navy SEAL Foundation, they're still doing just phenomenal things. I'm speaking from experience. I'm a beneficiary of some scholarship money. They've helped my middle guy get some testing done for some
awesome.
school and stuff. So they're doing great work out there, and I just want to be able to put a plug in for them because they've had an impact on me. They've obviously had an impact on a lot of other team guys in a lot of other ways. So
that's
awesome.
it, man. We really appreciate you guys having us here, letting us do this, and let us pick your brains for a bit.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was great.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Anytime. Thank you guys.
All right, guys.
Badass.